guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. In this episode, I want to focus more on how video games, especially the older video games, are getting marketed towards adults with disposable income to prey upon their nostalgia. What I'm okay with, what I'm not okay with, and what you definitely need to know about it. Smash JT. There have been a ton of video game arcades and machines coming to light over the past few weeks, and I want to talk about the direction the industry of retro video games is headed with the Coleco Mini Arcades, the Atari box, which we still don't know very much about, the SNK Mini Arcade, and even to the things like I Am 8-Bit and their Mega Man X and Mega Man Anniversary Collection after they came out with the Street Fighter II $100 carts. I feel like a lot of this is being misguided and confused to the end user. Then you have companies like Castlevania Games coming out with Holy Diver and R-Type. Things that people actually might want for affordable prices are getting confused with everything else because it's all being thrown into the same pile. Everything right now seems to be geared towards selling you something new that was made 30 plus years ago. And this all got started with the success of the NES Classic. You guys remember how everyone was in a frenzy about those? Classic systems came out before. Those mini arcades, those mini Genesis, those mini Mega Drives, those were available, but they didn't emulate things properly. They didn't work on the nostalgia as well as Nintendo did, so they didn't really sell very well and get everyone talking about it. Then when Nintendo hit the scene with the NES Classic, everything changed. Everyone realized that there's a market for retro video games if they do it right. My problem with all of this is there's a bubble forming right now. A retro video games bubble that's bigger than it's ever been in the past. Things like Mega Man and Mega Man X that I talked about from I Am 8-Bit, after they came out with Street Fighter II, are selling for $100. That's before tax, that's before shipping, that's an insane amount of money to be spending on a repro cartridge. Then you got companies like Coleco coming out with the Coleco Mini Arcades with Rainbow Brite and Robotech. Rainbow Brite's a brand new ROM from what I understand, and Robotech is a Game Boy Advance port. I don't know though, because their Kickstarter page barely tells you any information. They just want your money. Early backers $45, people that buy it after the Kickstarter is $55. For basically a ROM of a really old style game in a self-contained arcade unit that doesn't even have an HDMI out or an audio video out, where you can barely make out what you'd be playing. This is strictly for people who want nostalgic experiences, and I feel like you can get those for a much more affordable price if you just go to Walmart and pick up one of those cheap $10 arcades that does basically the same thing. At the end of the day, it's your money and you decide how you want to spend your money however you want to. There are so many retro video games and retro video game playing machines that are coming out on what feels like a daily basis right now that it's easy to confuse the end user on which ones are good high quality machines and which ones are crap that they're just trying to sell to make as much money possible. Take this as a buyer beware to really do your research on what you're going to be purchasing. A lot of these companies bank on nostalgia as the reason why people will be purchasing things. But for some reason, the price of nostalgia keeps going up. Talking about $100 reproduction carts, going all the way to a $300 Atari box that we're not even sure what it can even do yet, and everything in between. Where does it all end? When does the bubble burst? What's coming next down the pipe? The Neo Geo Mini Arcade actually looks pretty decent, especially with a bunch of games coming on it. But how much is it going to cost? And how well is it going to emulate those games? Don't be blinded by nostalgia and throw money at these random items. Make sure you figure out what it is you actually want in your house and then go from there. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about all this. Do you feel like there's a retro video game bubble that's growing right now? And if so, what's gonna burst that bubble? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one. Smash Smash